Under the white-hot glow of showroom lights, a black man steps through the glass doors with a quiet plan and a simple intention. Look, listen, and test a car he'd already booked. A salesman sizes him up in a heartbeat and makes a decision that will haunt the room. Keys are withheld. Smiles tilt into smirks. The air changes. He's nudged toward the exit, until a single text flips the script and pulls back the curtain on who actually holds the power here. What happens when the person you underestimated holds the deed to your future? Jalen Pierce believes in quiet wins. He builds companies, funds scholarships, and keeps his name off plaques unless they help someone else. He has a weakness for engineering done right, machines that hum with purpose, not ego. On this afternoon, he leaves a construction site with dust on his cuffs and drives to a luxury dealership where his assistant scheduled a low-profile appointment under the initials J. Pierce. He isn't dressed to be recognized. Plain sweater, clean sneakers, watch face turned inward. The appointment is simple. Evaluate a flagship model for a personal purchase and feel the service firsthand. It's also a test. Jalen's firm has been in talks to acquire a controlling stake in this dealership's parent group, and before contracts meet ink, he wants an unfiltered look at culture when titles and signatures aren't in the room. He expects polished courtesy. What he gets is a mirror held up to something far older and far uglier than a customer service lapse. The showroom is a cathedral of shine. Stitched leather, chrome lines, a scent of new rubber and cologne. Jalen checks in with the receptionist and drifts toward the car he came to see, tracing the line where sunlight melts across obsidian paint. A salesman clocks him. Eyes moving over clothes, skin, absence of visible luxury logos and reroutes. Instead of a greeting, he positions himself between Jalen and the car. The dance is practiced. Policies are invoked that weren't applied to the couple just welcomed with flutes and brochures. The words aren't shouted, but the meaning is loud. The test drive is suddenly fully booked. The appointment he confirmed is not in the system. The velvet rope around the flagship model stays put for him, while it lifts for others. The salesman nods past him and waves in a new arrival with a grin that never appeared for Jalen. A familiar heat rises, the kind that doesn't burn outward but folds inward, tight around the chest. Jalen has seen this play before. The rapid-fire sorting, the box they try to fold him into, the little humiliations that accumulate like pebbles in a shoe. He pulls up his confirmation email, but the salesman barely glances. Another staffer drifts closer, performative concern disguising surveillance. A manager glances out from an office, calculates, and disappears. Jalen doesn't raise his voice. He raises the stakes. He steps aside, opens his phone, and sends a message that is only 2 words long. In the reflection of the polished hood, he watches himself breathe. The room keeps moving, but the axis has shifted. A back door opens. The general manager appears, followed by the regional director he met on video calls, each wearing the strained smile of people who have just been told a storm has arrived indoors. The salesman straightens, sensing the weather change but not the reason. Jalen remains still, hands folded, letting the silence tell the story he won't have to. Recognition lands like a dropped wrench. The director's gaze flicks from Jalen to the velvet rope and back again, understanding compressing into a tight, pale line. The general manager extends a hand that Jalen does not take. An assistant hustles out with a leather folder stamped with the parent group's crest. The tab reads, Acquisition, Final Review. In the glass-walled conference room, the folder opens to contracts with his firm's name on every page. The room's energy turns brittle. The salesman hovers at the threshold, swallowing hard as the initials on the paperwork match the appointment he dismissed. Jalen reviews his notes from the last 10 minutes, each small barrier, each selective policy, the chilling ease with which a customer was sized up and sorted. He does not perform outrage. He lays out impact. What was denied was not just a test drive, but dignity. Not only a sale, but trust. He signals immediate decisions. Leadership accountability, mandatory bias training with real metrics, client protocols that treat every person as a prospect worthy of respect, and a review of hiring practices. He writes one more line that redraws the power map, retention tied to culture outcomes, not just quarterly numbers. Pen moves. Terms shift. Somewhere in the showroom, a champagne flute is set down, untouched. The salesman finally understands who he turned away and why the room has tilted out from under him. The lesson lands before the sentence does. Assumptions have a cost, and today the bill is due. By week's end, the velvet ropes are gone. The showroom greets people by name and need, not by narrative. The salesman is removed from the floor pending investigation. He begins a long education he should have started years ago. New policies aren't printed for display. They are measured, audited, enforced. A community advisory board forms not as theater, but as practice. Word spreads not about a scandal, but about a shift. A retired nurse comes in with questions and leaves with answers. A young couple sits where they would once have felt watched and finds themselves welcomed. The flagship model crosses the curb under the hands of someone who once thought places like this were not meant for them. Jalen doesn't take a victory lap. He visits quietly, months later, and sees a showroom populated by the one thing he cares most about building: better futures. The cars still gleam under hot lights, but what shines brighter is the recognition that respect is not an upgrade. It's the base model. How many rooms will change only when power walks in, and how many more could change if we learn to lead with dignity before the reveal?